Hi, guys. We're bringing you something a little different, a little special this week. This is going to be showcasing an episode of Let's Rewatch podcast on which Dave and I guested to talk about the movie Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. This is a movie Dave and I had seen a long time ago, hadn't seen in a while. So according to their format, we got together with them first to talk about our memories and expectations of the film. Then we watched it again. Next week, we'll have the recording for you of what it was like to rewatch the film. We think you're really going to like it.
Uh-oh. Instant potato.
Ashbot
2.0.
Ashbot malfunctioning.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Rewatch, the show where we watch movies that we loved in our youth and find out if they're still any good. I'm Brett.
I'm Sam.
I'm Ash.
And I'm Pat.
And you're drunk.
Not really. Not yet.
It
Not
takes
yet.
like
Good.
3 bottles of wine to get Pat
I know.
drunk.
It does take, it does, you know.
Yeah, it's
Your
takes
blood
one-
alcohol content is like well below 0.05 or 0.08.
one bottle for
Yeah.
each bicep. I could see that.
Yeah.
Pat's like 8 feet tall or whatever, so.
I mean, there's like a viral picture of look up what a can of beer looked like in his hand. It looks like a child's toy.
It is, right?
What beer?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, Sam has one for her baby right now. She's feeding it beer currently as we speak.
Please don't get CPS called on me.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have amazing guests. I'm gonna introduce them, but Brett, Sam, something looks different about you two. Did you get haircuts?
Yeah, we've tilted up the camera so that you can't see Sam's boobs out.
Okay.
But she always has them out when we podcast.
You have a tiny human.
Yeah.
I do.
Where did you get that tiny human?
I grew it painstakingly.
Yep. Sam decided to take her gardening to the next level and grow a human.
Uh-huh.
There's a cool
Yay.
comic book series called Farmhand that's about a guy who figures out how to grow body parts and then they can be like transplanted onto people,
Ooh.
like hands, fingers, organs. They like, grow
So
like
there's your
plants,
next career,
and then,
Sam.
and then they like pluck the left hands. To,
Is that
plant on
wholesome and
people.
adorable, or is it horrifying? Because it sounds horrifying.
No, it's like sci-fi horror comic.
Oh,
It's
oh,
good. It's
goodness.
good. It's called Farmhand though. Very good. Very, very good.
All right. Well, Pat, who's joining us today?
Oh, yeah. We've got 2 great guests. We have the hosts of the Spies Like Us podcast. We've got David and Todd. Hey, fellas.
Hi, thanks for having us on. We're really excited for this.
Yeah, this should be fun.
We've been emailing for like 2 months.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt you guys, your patience is otherworldly with us.
I
You
mean,
just caught us
Sam
at
rudely had to have a baby and
Right?
just throw
I
off the
know.
whole schedule.
I mean, he did show up 10 days late. So,
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
We'll be scapegoating all of our absences on the baby from here on out.
Yep.
Look forward to it.
What did you roll for gender?
A 2. Where's the lookup table?
Yeah, this is baby Ellis Huxley. He's very sweet and grumpy.
So, Todd and David, yeah, you came to us. You were introduced to us from our mutual friend, Johnny Taylor.
Woo!
Yeah.
Awesome dude. He's
Mhm.
been really helpful to us.
So,
Aw.
do you before we jump into the movie we're going to watch tonight? Do you want to give us a little quick plug for your show, Spies Like Us?
Yeah, we analyze tradecraft in spy films. And we've been doing it for about a year. It's called Spies Like Us Podcast. Make sure to add the podcast if you search, because you might get the film Spies Like Us with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. But yeah, you can find it on any of the podcast apps, or you can just go to our website, spieslikeus.net.
All right.
It was an exciting day for me when I checked Google search and found that we came up, I think, like 125th hit. even Googling Spies Like Us podcast, get 124 of the movie, and then there we are.
It's a slow climb to the top of your own name.
Hey, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
And true to form, you suggested something of a spy movie for us to watch today. What's that going to be?
We're going to go with Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which I know it has to do with a CIA assassin. I don't really recall exactly how much of a spy movie it is. But we do, we wander off the center of the path. We don't drive straight down the middle of the road when it comes to picking our movies. So I thought it would be a good one because, not 100% sure that it's, got a whole lot of tradecraft to talk about. Which is what we like to focus on on our show. So I think it's a good pick to, run past a fun bunch of people like you guys.
So who here has seen this before?
Whoa,
I have not.
Who told you we were fun?
Yeah, they're fucking liars, by the way. Yeah.
I listened to your Muppet Christmas episode.
Oh,
That was a good one.
How'd you like that song? It finally got out of my head, and now you've made me remember it. So
Ash's Dubstep Christmas.
I hate you so much.
Which of you was the one that owns a VHS machine specifically
me.
to watch the
That's
one
me.
tape because it's the only
Ash, yeah.
version that has one extra scene in it or something?
Yes.
You can watch that scene on Disney Plus. You got to back out of the movie.
Yeah, you have to
in the
leave
extras.
the movie.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which
I
I
am
did.
the purist.
I paused the movie, backed out when we watched it, watched the song, the sad song, and then went back and and resumed.
That's like people pitching VR gaming to me. They're like, "You want to play games, except it's way harder, and there's more stuff that you have to physically wear." No, it's like I'm not going to back out of a movie while I'm watching it to watch a
Not
different
until it's
part
just
of the
a
movie.
contact I can put in my eye.
Brett would want a brain implant. He won't futz with contacts. He wants you to shoot it into his brain and make him a bionic gaming console.
You know what shoots images into my brain already? The TV. It's already there.
I thought you were going to say your eyes.
But you don't control what's on the TV with your brain.
Your eyes.
Yeah.
You know what shoots images into your brain? Your eyes.
It's not wrong.
That would be the perfect tagline for an eye doctor. You shoot images into your brain.
This is, that's was my number one thing when I was looking for a life partner, is someone who was always technically correct.
Right. It was in our wedding vows.
David and Todd, have you seen this before?
I have. I think twice. I think twice, but it has been a good long time. I would say 10 years at least. But yeah, if I recall, I saw it in theaters when it came out.
Oh.
Okay. Which was 2002, which feels like so long ago.
Wow.
That
Because
is a while.
it was almost 20 years ago, Pat.
Oh God, stop it. I'm so old. So Ash, Brett, Sam, have you guys seen this?
No.
This
No.
one, no, which is surprising because I've seen it physically at places, but I've never
You've had it
never watched
projected into your brain by your eyes.
Yeah, I feel like I've been aware of it forever. I'm aware that this was a movie that exists and it had some ties to possible, reality. But yeah, so let's get
Ties
into
to
it.
possible reality. What?
That'll make sense in a second. That'll make sense in a second. So
Listen, listener, we haven't podcasted in a while.
Yeah.
I'm just warning you.
But this was movie. So yeah, 2002 it came out. It was directed by. It was actually the directorial debut of Mr. George Clooney.
What?
Oh,
Really?
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is an adaptation of a book written by Chuck Barris, who was a host of a lot of 70s and 80s game shows. The Gong Show was one that he hosted.
Yeah, he's a true impresario. He created the dating game and the Gong Show. I think are his two most famous ones. But yeah, he's a big name. Was a big name in game shows in the 70s.
And then he wrote a book that was ostensibly biographical, and it claimed. I don't know. Do I want to spoil this or not? Do I say this? Or not?
Don't spoil what the truth is. We'll talk about that after. But he called it an unauthorized autobiography.
Oh, like Lemony Snicket or something?
Yeah. It was so he wrote the book and it was adapted for the screen by Charlie Kaufman, who wrote the screenplay.
Okay.
Okay, interesting. So Charlie Kaufman didn't write the movie, he wrote the screenplay.
I do feel like we can spoil what the major claim that he makes in the book is. I just didn't want to spoil whether or not it turns out to be true or not.
So he claimed in this book that this whole time that he was a very famous, like, hosting television dating shows and game shows and creating, which involved a lot of travel, right?
Yes.
And a lot of access to places us normies can't go. He claimed in the book that during that whole time he was also a CIA assassin.
Wow.
Wait, who claimed that?
Chuck Barris, the guy who hosted the Gong Show and created the dating game and was hosting these 70s and 80s like shows, talk shows, game shows. He wrote a book that he claimed during that whole time he was doing assassinations for the CIA.
And you know what? I'm also a firefighter. So I just haven't told anyone about it.
But
I agree, Ash.
That totally fits what my like mental canon is for the personality of a game show host. Like how do you
self-inflated ego?
Yeah, how do you Pat Sajak like choose a letter and then like not go home and kill people? Like
not go home and turn into what's that horror movie where the dude just murders a bunch of women? I forget what it's called.
American Psycho.
There's a lot of those.
Every horror movie.
Well, specifically
also
American
every horror
Psycho.
movie. Yeah, so I'm gonna read some for those who. So I kind of knew that was the premise. I've never seen the movie, but I knew that. So that's news to the rest of you?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to say that I knew that was the premise, but being that the script is written by Charlie Kaufman, my first thought was that, you know, he had just taken Chuck Barris's autobiography and written this script that added in the subplot of him being a CIA assassin, because that seems like that kind of mix of like
Hollywood and whatever.
Reality and unreality and identity is like so like up Kaufman's alley.
Mm-hmm.
But it was only after I'd seen the movie that I was really surprised that no, this guy actually did write this book where he claimed that he was working for the CIA.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure if you actually were an assassin for the CIA, you would not come out and write a book and like release your identity.
There are other people who have done that though.
Yeah,
like there's
stuff
this
gets
guy
out there
who wrote like a whole book on like how to read body language and stuff, who used to be like a CIA interrogator or whatever.
Yeah, but that's different than a CIA assassin.
I mean, sure, but like,
true.
Just imagine, like, not every person can be like, I'm working for the government, doing important things. Like, some people are like, fuck yeah, I work for the CIA. I can't wait to tell everyone about this.
I mean, honestly, on the scale of things that I think they've done or tried, a game show host being an operative is not that far off. I mean, look up Project MK Ultra. They did some weird fucking shit in the CIA. They were just throwing darts and doing weird stuff.
There's a short Alan Dulles and he was like known because he was the DCI at the time, or I guess it was called the director. But he did all kinds of crazy stuff. He was known for like being really creative and trying to do like he loved it. He was probably one of the many people that like really, really loved his job and was always trying to do like weird, odd, extraordinary operations. So the whole MK Ultra thing with the LSD and the prostitutes is like one of many of his like oddball like kind of ideas.
It was a there was a period for the CIA where they were getting very creative. But there's a list of covers that the CIA supposedly will never use. To my knowledge, Game Show Host is not on that list.
I like the thought of somebody working in the CIA back then and just being like, oh, wait, well, they're giving out money for any project? Oh, man, I bet LSD gives you mind powers.
Well, I think didn't Clooney was involved in the men who stare at goats, as well, I
Yeah,
think.
he directed that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
He
think
was
he
in it,
was
yeah.
the star. Yeah.
I think he's trying to tell us something.
Could you imagine being
Right.
murdered by Alex Trebek, though, where you're like, oh my God, Alex Trebek. And then he pulls out a gun and
Right?
shoots you.
I mean,
You
it's
did
kind
not
of
answer in
win-win.
the form of a question. Bang.
Nobody.
I mean, it's kind of genius because if you survive the assassination attempt and you go and report it, they're not going to fucking believe you.
No, they're
Alex Trebek
not.
tried to kill me, and it's like,
Right.
okay, weirdo, like get out of here.
Okay, the best episode ever of the X-Files. Someone's recounting a story about being visited by two men in black, and we're seeing the story play out that he's telling. And the two men in black show up, and it's they're played by Alex Trebek and Jesse Ventura. And at that point, the interrogator stops him and says, wait, did you say Alex Trebek? And the guy says, no, I didn't say it was Alex Trebek. I said it looked like Alex Trebek. But then they cut back to the story, and you're like, no, that is Alex Trebek. They got to play this guy.
That's amazing.
So as far as the Charlie Kaufman-esque-ness of this, I don't know, because I got a little trivia factoid here that he's credited as the screenwriter for doing the screenplay, but it says Kaufman felt dissatisfied with the way George Clooney treated his script. He commented, I spent a lot of time working on the script, but Clooney wasn't interested in the things I was interested in. I've moved on, and I have no animosity towards him, but it's a film I don't really relate to.
Interesting.
Wow.
Huh.
This is some heft.
I think Kaufman is one of those scriptwriters that hangs out and wants to be involved during the entire process. He's not the kind that just drops it off and goes
I mean,
home.
isn't that what adaptation is all about? Right?
Yes. Right?
I was gonna say, I can't imagine him having a hard time relating to the script and the story. Like it's just so relatable. It's the everyman's tale.
But again, in counter to that, Clooney acknowledges he made changes because they were, quote, funky scenes that would never have gotten the green light for a studio movie.
Again,
I
that's
love it.
every Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
movie. That's his
Right.
style.
Where does this fit? Where does this fit in the Kaufman catalog?
I
I
was
mean,
wondering that too. Is
we
this
start
early
we start
on?
we start with Malkovich. We know that.
Oh, really? Malkovich was before this.
Yeah, Malkovich is the first
Oh.
script
As
that
a
he sold.
writer, let's go back.
Being
Okay.
John Malkovich is Charlie Kaufman.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that was his first. He was doing TV stuff. That was his first feature written. Human
What do
Nature.
you mean? Being John Malkovich is amazing.
Sam does not like.
Right.
Oh.
I didn't realize adaptation was so early, because that
Is
seems
it
like
really?
something. It's his, as a writer, it's his third feature.
Oh, no,
Which
one?
adaptation was before Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. So yeah, he was already.
It was the one right before this,
Oh,
and then
wow.
Eternal Sunshine.
Wait, so adaptation came out, and then they hired him to write this movie, and then they were like, "Man, there's weird scenes in here," and they were
that's
surprised.
that's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
it's like, have you? Did you even watch any of my movies before you
Yeah,
hired
right?
me?
No, that was in the early days of Google. Somebody was just like, "Who does adaptations?"
Oh my god!
That's pretty
Exactly.
good. That's pretty good. Oh wow, he did an episode of Moral Oral.
Yeah,
I'm
I saw
not
that one.
surprised, but
He was
I
right
mean,
on the Dana Carvey show.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, his interesting. But I'm trying to think if there's any other. I got lots of trivia, but a lot of it is maybe post-watch stuff. This, of course, the CIA has denied that Chuck Barris ever worked for them.
Naturally.
Right. Of course
Big,
they would.
big fucking surprise there, right? No, they're like, yeah, totally, yeah, yeah, for sure. Normally we don't say shit about shit, but this one time we're gonna be like, yeah, sure.
Right.
But I'm gonna run down the cast for y'all. It stars Sam Rockwell as Chuck Barris.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is
A lot of
this is-
names.
This is Rockwell's breakout role as well.
Is
Really?
it really?
Mhm.
And-
Oh.
Well,
Clooney was the one that wanted him specifically. This script actually went through a lot of hands before it got made. And I don't think I made a list, but Pat, did you notice like the list of names of people that had been considered?
Yeah, there were.
It is
Oh.
a funky ass list.
It's huge, and also you're right. Clooney was like Rockwell or nobody.
Clooney. I like
Yeah.
it. Can we
Yeah,
call
yeah.
him that from now on?
When I say Clooney.
Yeah.
Good
It sounds like a drink.
Clooney for men.
Good on
Yes.
him, because we need Rockwell.
Yeah, Clooney was like Rockwell or nobody, but there were a lot of other people, the studio or other people that had it in their hands. I'm looking for it. I had it here. That
Richard
Yeah,
Dreyfuss is on the list, I
Mhm.
think.
Wow. Wait, to play
And-
the same role?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah.
and I think too, like some weird name. I think maybe like Russell Crowe. Like the names make no
Russell Crowe,
sense.
Ed Norton, Kevin Spacey.
Wow.
Ed Norton, I can kind of maybe see. I
So
don't know.
Sure.
white guy. With the white
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
in Hollywood.
I actually didn't know who Rockwell was when I'd seen it. And then years later, when like I figured out Rockwell is like one of the most amazing actors of all time,
Mhm.
I went through his IMDb and I was like, holy shit, he was that guy? Like that's
But
how
it's
long
just-
I haven't seen this.
It's just
Yeah.
like in what universe are Richard Dreyfuss and Russell Crowe ever like up for the same role?
Oh,
I don't know.
I guess they all have like a certain
Look. Yeah.
like you could be any white dude face. Like, and we know who they
Yes.
are because they're famous
I mean-
actors, but like
at this point, nothing. It's still not the worst. A very recent episode we did, David and Todd, still has the most crazy batshit. Like you were considering this person and this person. Like how we did Commando. Yes, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Commando. And at one point, Nick Nolte was considered for the role.
What?
Oh, I would totally take that.
For Commando?
Yes, for Commando.
I mean, I love Nick Nolte, but I don't know, man. That part was made for just like muscle-bound Schwarzenegger, right? I don't think I can picture.
I would
Nolte
love
in
to see the close up of his torso, his ripped torso with the Gatling gun, but it's Nolte's torso. So also Drew Barrymore is in this. Michael Cera
Yay.
is
Wow.
in this.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Michael
What?
Cera?
Did you say Michael Cera?
Yes.
Oh shit. I didn't know
He plays young Chuck, the young Sam Rockwell.
that.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow.
Maggie Gyllenhaal is in this. Brad
love
Pitt and Matt
Maggie.
Damon have cameos.
Wow.
this feels like
Julia Roberts is in
this
this.
feels like a George Clooney like knows a lot of people kind of
George
cast list.
Clooney and Friends.
oh,
Yeah.
that's
yes.
all of George
So-
Clooney's movies. It's always like,
Yeah,
here's the
no.
posse.
Brett, you are very correct because Julia Roberts and Drew Barrymore worked for Scale at $250,000 as a favor to George, and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon did cameos for free.
Right. It's like, hey guys, George is making his first movie. Let's show up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would show up for George Clooney.
I mean,
Right?
I would show up for $250,000.
I mean, can you believe? Yeah,
As a favor,
just the
I would-
generosity
As a
of them.
favor.
Julia Roberts was on set for, and this is a fact. She was on set for 6 days for her role.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I'd work for 6 days for $250,000.
I love how the women got the money out of the deal and the men were like, yeah, I'll do it as a favor.
That's funny.
Good for them.
Also, don't forget
Um,
that it's 2002's $250,000.
Right?
That's true.
So by
It's like
today's money,
$4 million today.
yeah,
In Bitcoin.
Dogecoin.
Doge.
Dogecoin, yeah.
Yeah.
To the moon.
I call this movie the beginning of the Rutger Hauer reclamation project. This is the first of his last few roles that he did in his life, where I thought, and he had been relegated to direct to video for a very long time. But he shows up in a small role in this movie, and then he shows up again in Sin City and also in Chris Nolan's Batman. And I was really happy to see him get some actual, acting opportunities at the end, and I think he showed up for all of them.
Well, nice. I'll look out for that.
Love Rutger Hauer.
Do we? Why? What? Yeah. When did he stop being Mega Power Hollywood?
Well, I don't think he was ever Mega Power Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like he has an enormous amount of movies that are, I guess, low budget sci-fi. direct-to-video kind of stuff.
I mean, yeah.
Seems to be the majority of his career after Blade Runner.
Listen, he will always have, he improv one of my top like 5 favorite cinema moments of all time. So he gets just
I guess it's
he gets a pass.
He improv that Blade Runner like speech.
Yeah, there's a few actors who I guess we've had that thing with where it's just like, what do you mean they're not hugely famous? Oh, I guess it's just that one thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Blade Runner's a weird movie where like almost everyone in it is kind of acting at, or maybe it's just the way it's edited or written, but there's a lot of actors in there that are punching way above their normal weight in the way that the final product comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that applies to Daryl Hannah, Rutger Hauer, Sean Young, and also the weird guy with the blood disease or whatever.
Yeah.
The only
the toy maker or whatever guy.
Yeah, the only thing I ever saw him other than that was in the Newhart show.
He's in Deadwood. He was in Deadwood as a main character, as a decently main character.
It goes to show what good directing can do too. You know, like
you would say that, you professional director.
Well, I'm just saying, like I've seen movies with actors that I'm like, I know that these are good actors.
Or Ash, I think the key is the writing.
Wow, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's the special effects.
So this movie was well received by critics. Roger Ebert liked it. It's got like 79% of Rotten Tomatoes. It's got like 7 out of 10 on IMDb. From the critics, well, positive. But I want to go into the money game.
Ka-ching!
Money game, cha-ching. Yeah. So what do we think this thing cost to make?
Well, considering it got passed around,
I'm going to guess pretty cheap because everyone was working for free. I'm going to guess
Right.
17 million.
Okay.
17?
That feels low. I feel like
That's very low.
They were like, George, you can make a movie, sure. And they give him like 35.
I'm guessing 40 before anyone else takes it. Mine.
David,
Sorry,
Todd?
guess. I guess we'll let you go last. Like assholes.
I don't know that I'm pretty good at this. I don't know. I like the idea that they just handed him some cash, so I would say maybe 30 or 35 sounds good to me.
You can't say 35. Brett said 35.
Yeah.
All right, I'll say 30.
There's a lot of us
Okay.
here today.
Dave, you got to price is right it.
Yeah.
30,
Oh,
go 34.99.
34.
Or
There you
no,
go.
I'll price is right it because I have no fucking clue. So I'll go 34.99. You stick with your 30.
30 by 30.
Well, it's a good thing you did, David, because you were on the nose. $30 million.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Total stab in the dark.
I always found it difficult to find movie budgets. I thought they're usually not
It's on IMDb.
It's
or
at-
Or Box Office
Box
Mojo.
Office Mojo.
Box Office Mojo
Box
is a
Office
good
Mojo, yeah.
website for them. So let's talk. How do you think it did? We got the USA and worldwide.
When did it release in the year?
When in the year?
Yeah.
Saying we're gonna make me. All right,
Gonna make you do the
to the
hosting.
Google.
I don't need Google for this. Charlie Kaufman writes movies that people don't like until later. So
It feels like an April movie
December
to me. Nope.
December 31st of 20. Okay, so it's only
December
technically
31st?
Yeah, it's only technically an O2 movie. It was on.
Oof. This didn't do well then.
No,
I'm not predicting. Well,
It's
I
not
guess
the.
people go.
It's not the
What a
February
date.
where movies go to die, but
but who the fuck on New Year's Eve is going to go see a movie?
a lot of people actually.
The other
Really?
2002 movies and saying like, and maybe they knew what was coming in 2003 and they were like, if we're going to have any shot at the Oscar, this has got to be in 2002. So let's just make it happen. Let's just make it happen.
this made like 22 domestic, like didn't make its money back domestically.
Total?
But then like worldwide, it was in the high 60s, maybe 60, 68, 22, 68.
Wait, are we talking opening weekend or?
No, gross
Oh.
US and cumulative
Oh.
worldwide.
I don't know.
10 million.
In both?
Domestic. I have no idea. But I don't think it. I'm pretty sure. I remember when it came out, I didn't even know about it till my mother and I visited the ancient ruins of Blockbuster and picked it up. So I'm pretty sure it probably did not do well. So I'm just going to say 10.
Oof.
Okay, I'm gonna guess 68,000 total worldwide.
Yeah, I was gonna say 60,000 worldwide.
1,000?
Or sorry, million.
Yeah, I was quickly
60,000.
losing track
I'm
of what are we
lowballing
guessing
even
here?
more. Yeah, exactly.
I'll pass, but I really have to ask, like, does this include the advertising budget?
I don't know.
It's
Okay,
the numbers
okay,
that
okay.
are on Box Office
Yeah,
Mojo.
And they're
Yeah.
all projected numbers
It's the
because you are
least-
correct. Studios don't actually release their production budgets,
But
It
but
didn't come with a balance sheet.
my thought is,
Yeah.
weird time of year. It came out at a time when that whole thing about like giving your movie a descriptive name was like didn't return with, you know, like it has a long name and it's written by by Charlie Kaufman, which is he's got fans, but they rent his movies. So that's my guess. If I'm right, then that's why,
Yeah.
and if I'm wrong, then I want to know what happened.
What was
Yeah.
your guess?
They didn't make their money back domestically, and and it
that's
was like
right.
maybe 65, 68 worldwide.
You're partially right, Brett. Yeah, rough go. Only made 16 million US.
Whoa!
And,
David was
It
closest.
barely turned a profit. 33 million cumulative worldwide.
Yowza.
33. Wow.
That's
Wow.
worse than I
Yeah.
thought.
And they still let George Clooney.
Yeah,
direct
yeah.
more
This George
films.
Clooney Joker. His career must have just died after that.
Well, it's all Kaufman's fault, right? Like you can scapegoat anybody in Hollywood.
Right.
See, they said it made $3 million, but like, yeah, just having like George Clooney here got all of these just huge name actors involved. Like, that's why they let him keep doing it. It's like, hey, just stick George Clooney somewhere and he'll bring all of his amazing friends with him, and like we'll turn any movie that wouldn't have made any money at all
And we don't
into
have
something
to
that
pay
is-
them.
Yeah.
At least the men, anyway.
Pat, give us some trivias.
I mean, a lot of stuff is after. There wasn't a ton of crazy stuff. Look for lots of like single takes.
Ooh, oneers.
Yeah, a lot of wonders. And I guess, George Clooney's father, Nick Clooney, used to direct television game shows. And he
Oh.
derived his experience from
Oh,
watching them
interesting.
backstage
Really?
as a kid.
So that's an interesting like connection for him and the story.
Mhm.
It's actually about his dad.
Wait, does George Clooney work for the FBI?
CIA.
Oh, the CIA.
George Clooney,
CIA.
he made changes to make the movie more realistic. He's like, no, I know how these murders actually went
Right.
down.
I got a piece of trivia. I'm not sure how super interesting it is, but I read that Clooney made a conscious decision going in to not ask Barris if the story was true or not. So
Ooh, I like
I do.
that.
I think it's a strong decision. I mean, one way or the other.
Yeah,
It's bold.
I think that's cool because then you wanna believe, right? Like you want like the main character believes, and so if the main character believes, it makes sense that the director needs to.
well, if
Wait,
if
is that
I remember,
the plot of
if
this
I
movie? Is
remember
that what's
right,
really
the
gonna
movie, I
happen?
think, and I could be wrong about this, but in my fuzzy memory, I think the movie is a little dreamy and kind of ambiguous. Like, I think you end up sitting there wondering if this is really happening or if he's having like a psychotic American Psycho kind of breakdown.
Hmm.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's like 2020, but in
feel
a
like
movie.
I feel like a lot of his scenes where he's doing CIA stuff are like there's only one other person in the room, like with him. Like there's never a scene where he like is like going to CIA headquarters and sitting at in a big briefing room, with a lot of people. Like it's kind of like personal and I don't want to say claustrophobic, but
Well, I'm just gonna put a shot in the dark out there, Todd, and I'm just gonna say because he wasn't actually
right. But what I'm saying is, I think there's an ambiguity to it that Clooney wanted to consciously maintain. Is my suspicion.
Mm.
I like
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
because if you know it's real, then you're making a documentary, and if you know it's fake, you're making a farce. But if you're if you don't know, then what do you then you get to make up your own vision. It takes, I think it would have taken away his vision on it if he knew one way or the other.
Yeah. One of the few things I remembered about the movie, at the very end, it has the guy where they're like, is it real? And he just kind of gives a little like shit-eating giggle to the audience. So it definitely does play to that little mysterious ambiguity, kind of like what the Blair Witch Project made all of its money off of. Is it real? No. Type of thing.
What I would wonder, which I don't know the answer to, is whether or not Sam Rockwell asked Barris. But I do know that he trailed Barris around for like a solid 3 weeks, like every day, to catch all his mannerisms and stuff.
To help out with the murder.
Right. To help carry the bodies.
I was curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did do a little more than we normally do for the show, which is the bare minimum. But I was Googling, I literally at one point Googled, was Chuck Barris actually a CIA assassin? And I read some interviews of people that knew him. I guess he was very cheeky about it, where he wrote the book and put it out there. And then from that point on, one account of someone who was very close to him said anytime it was ever brought up, he would literally go, I can neither confirm nor deny. And that was his only response to that.
Yes.
This man is really good at marketing, because who's going to buy this book? Unless...
I guess that's what you get from doing game
just
shows.
Just the tagline, an unauthorized autobiography.
No one wants to read my real... Yeah. He realized, no one really wants to read an autobiography about me, so let's spice it up. All right?
Yeah, it's
I'm going to make some money.
Dad joke sort of thing, where it's like, I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
I mean, if it's all made up, it is ingenious, because like we were saying earlier, the CIA would never admit it. Of course, it's the type of thing, it's the type of lie you can make up, and then no one can ever
It's not
prove
fact-checkable.
Yeah, because it's like, what are they going to admit? They're like, yeah, totally. We totally orchestrated those murders of human beings. Yep, that was us. Maybe we did it.
I mean, nowadays they totally would, but
maybe he passed it to the editor without mentioning that it was supposed to be a biography. The editor looked at it, said, "This is decent, but we're gonna have another guy come in and kind of punch it up," thinking that it was supposed to be a work of fiction, and then added all the CIA stuff in it.
So what do you think was the thing in the book that made them think that he was a murderer? That was the normal thing, The normal thing that they're like, okay, but this character is clearly a murderer, so...
Well, I would look the book up and see if it's explicit in the book.
It sounded like a joke when I said it earlier, but it's the game show host thing. Game show hosts are clearly murderers. You just can't.
I mean, look at Alex Trebek's eyes. He's gonna fucking murder you.
Black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Like a doll's eye.
So while Pat looks that up, do we want to get into everyone's predictions and memories?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Sure. One of the only other scenes I remember, there's not a whole lot I remember, but when he's being trained, there's this drill sergeant teaching all these assassins, and he's like, "You could kill a man by hitting him in the neck," and then he hits one of the guys, and the guy dies. He's like, "Fuck!" And those are the only two things I really remember from this film.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. Sorry to kill the joke, but I know that's the show. What do you guys remember?
Well, I'm the only person. I'm the only other person that's seen it, and I did sit down and really kind of go into my memory palace. It's a fun exercise. Not something I.
Did you discover that you also worked for the CIA?
You can neither confirm nor deny.
You're a sleeper agent.
And I wrote down specifically the things I remembered in order, and I think there's 6 of them.
And I will recite them now.
Stop me when it gets boring. The very first thing I remembered is the ending scene. The climax of the movie is it's which cup is the poison in, kind of Lazy Susan trope kind of thing. You know what I mean? A battle of wits, from Princess Bride at the end. I remembered that. I remembered that the most annoying guy in the movie that you would least suspect of being a secret agent does turn out to be one. Oh, I think that. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, just one more, which was the Gong Show inspiration, which I had kind of wanted to mention when, you keep talking about game show hosts being murderers. There's a scene where someone's pitching him an idea, and it's a really annoying person, and the person's like rattling on and on and on, and Sam Rockwell's eyes just kind of glaze over, and then he just pulls out a gun and shoots the guy in the head. And then we snap out of it. The guy's still talking. And it's one of those things where you suddenly realize like, oh, that was just in his head. That didn't actually happen. But then we go further into Sam Rockwell's mind. And that turns out to be his inspiration for the Gong Show.
What?
Like just pull out a gun and shoot someone. They're annoying. They've been talking too long. I'm tired of this. Just fucking shoot them in the head.
And then they go even deeper. And then there's a spinning top.
Are you guys familiar with the Gong Show? Because it is a really old show. Some of you guys might not be.
I do know of it.
I've seen clips of it.
Well, the Gong Show was a show where they would have like different variety acts. I think they'd have, some dancing, some singing, some comedy. And they'd have a panel of 3 judges and they were like really bad. Like, not great content. And basically the concept of the show was that 3 judges would try to stick through it as long as possible. But when one of them just couldn't take it anymore, they would get up from the podium, pick up a big mallet and strike a gong, which is basically like killing the act.
That's like all of modern, all of the shows that do that now.
Yeah, it was kind of the first, Like I said, like Barris was a real innovator.
What's funny about the Gong Show is like Disney executives, like in the Eisner days, they took that and made that a thing behind the scenes where people they would do like 3 times a year where literally like anyone who worked for the company, no matter what your role is, could pitch something.
Wow.
But you had like a few seconds, and if they didn't like it, they would like bang I don't know if it was an actual gong or something. I don't know all the particulars, but they literally had like an internal gong show. And it was, who were the 4 people? It was Michael Eisner, Roy Disney, Tom Shoemaker, who was the other one?
Probably Jeffrey Katzenberg, maybe.
This is right before his time.
Okay.
Joe McGowan, maybe, yeah. But and then people would get to pitch, and then they would like, I don't know if they had a little mini gong or something like that, but it was literally they would do it 3 times a year. It's kind of like an open door. You got a few seconds. Didn't matter what your job was. You could come in and pitch something.
Wow.
Because they were that desperate in the 80s.
I guess so.
They really were. All right, who's next on
do predictions? Like, are we gonna I'll go for. I think it's gonna be fun. I think because Sam Rockwell is always bringing his A game, and the fact that it was critically well received makes me think this was is a good. Having never seen it, my reaction is this is a good movie that just didn't land with broad mass audiences. Whether marketing wasn't there or the way. I mean, obviously the release, New Year's Eve, it just didn't take off. But I think it's going to be an interesting, enjoyable watch.
I want to like it, but I'm sorry, I'm not a Kaufman fan.
I do not like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I do like Eternal Sunshine. I do not like Being John Malkovich.
Okay. Do you like Adaptation?
I have not seen Adaptation.
You can ask her everyone.
Don't watch it.
That's the one I recommend the highest. Okay. I agree with you on Malkovich.
Really?
Oh, I love Adaptation.
I can't stand Adaptation.
Just Being John Malkovich, it makes me feel icky. And
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I didn't appreciate the feeling it left me with.
Yeah. So I'm hoping
that's what I liked about it.
I like feeling icky.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I like this. It's a really fun concept, and I actually really like George Clooney as a director. So I'm going in with optimism, but trepidation. That's all. I don't know anything else about it.
It's not your turn yet, Brett.
I was just here to back up Sam's comments about I also do not like Charlie Kaufman, but that's fine. We'll see how it goes. I've complained about this on the show before. It's a specific thing that's not Charlie Kaufman specific, but it's when you can feel how clever the writer thinks they're being at the moment. And a lot of his movies have that. Like I loved Eternal Sunshine. And it's a movie I like because I saw it at an impressionable time. But I don't think I'd like it if I saw it for the first time today.
Really?
Yeah, like I would like it if I watched it right now, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like it if I watched it for the first time right now. But he didn't he didn't write this movie because it's based on a book with stories that someone else made up. So that's
he did write
taking
the
a
movie.
stance right there, are we?
But he didn't write the story. He wrote how the story goes on the screen.
I agree. I meant the made up part where you said a story with somebody else made.
So that's a big question mark. Like, it is the thing that I wouldn't like about Charlie Kaufman even in this? Maybe not. The other thing, George Clooney. Like his movies, whether he's in them or directing them, are really hit and miss because sometimes it's like a cool movie with an all-star cast, and sometimes it's just like a fuck around with an all-star cast. And so I don't know what we're getting here.
You can take the formula, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and apply it to, you don't like Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman didn't like this film. Ergo.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Solved.
Yeah. And so it's a real big question mark. And that's unusual for me going into a movie. I feel like I have a stronger stance on if I'm going to like it or not going in, but there's too many like mixed up factors with this one. So I'm genuinely
So many
curious.
variables.
Yeah.
Can I throw another curveball in the mix here?
Please.
Not to, go too long, but just quickly, like, do we like the Coen brothers or do we not like the Coen brothers? 'Cause they can be divisive.
Yeah.
Generally,
Love the
yes.
For the most
Brothers.
part.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep in mind, this is something I did catch in a review. Keep in mind that Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was 2000. So that was the most recent film that Clooney had acted in that kind of inspired him to say, I want to direct, was working with the Coen brothers.
Interesting.
So that's going to be something to look out for of, whether or not we see him trying to like kind of Coen this out.
That's my favorite Coen Brothers movie too.
Me too.
So this movie is going to be like really dry comedy and super fucked up stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, we
my
already
favorite
know
Coen.
it's super fucked up. Like he's gonna go assassinate people. Like I'm kind of that's the thing that concerns me. I think is so I haven't seen this movie at all. I think I've only ever heard the name of the film. I literally knew nothing about it. I didn't know that it was a Charlie Kaufman movie. I didn't know all these people were in it. I didn't know George Clooney directed it. And I didn't know the plot. But now that I know the plot, I'm concerned that this movie isn't going to hold up for gun reasons.
Yeah.
Like last night, my boyfriend and I watched Nobody, which is a brand new movie.
Oh yeah, how's Odenkirk doing?
It was good. I would be very interested to hear your guys' opinion. I feel like it has the same problem that Boondock Saints has.
Oh, okay.
Where
Ruh-roh.
I was like, this dude is murdering people because he wants to murder people, because he enjoys it. And it is celebrated and they are having a fucking good time doing it. And that's the line that's like crossed where I'm like, this doesn't feel good.
The trailer gave off those vibes too. It was like mediocre
Yeah.
white man has had enough. And like, boy, that's certainly not a reality that I live in.
I mean, Hollywood's gonna make that movie every year, right? We got Joker,
Right.
last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Like
But like the Joker's the bad guy. In this movie, he's the good guy. And it's
Right.
kind of gross.
in that movie though, did you see Joker?
No,
Joaquin?
I
He
still
was
haven't.
kind of the good guy in that movie too.
I mean, in his mind, he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
That movie was more about mental health than about celebrating murder. And like when
Right.
the social programs were shut down and he wasn't getting his meds is when he kind of started going off the rock. There was I think that was more social commentary more than those films we get every year where it's like one man stands up for his town, kills a bunch of people, you know?
For sure.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But here's the thing, those movies that you guys are talking about, this is different than those movies. So like in my opinion, John Wick and this movie have completely different vibes because in John Wick, he is going out for revenge. He doesn't want to have to engage, but he has to because these people are coming after him, you know, or in other situations, it's like, well, people are like, you know, going to kill their family. That's not the situation in this movie. Okay.
Is that not
Like-
the most American morality that it's mass murder's okay if it's to avenge your dog?
Right. Which is still problematic. But I'm just saying in this movie, it's not a situation where somebody came after him and he felt the need to like defend his family.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a scene kind of like that. But the way it plays out, like he's smart enough to know that it's not a situation where he needed to do something. And then he then goes out and pokes the bear, basically, for lack of a better description.
It's what I call revenge porn.
But there's nothing to revenge.
I
That's
really
what I'm
don't
saying.
like-
Fight me, you son of a bitch! Fight me,
Is it
bear!
That's
more
what
like
I'm
just like?
saying, though.
Is it one of those?
He's literally nothing. He's not revenging anything. He goes out and he fucks with people that he shouldn't have fucked with because he just wants to fuck with people.
Is it a I'm tired of the things that are wrong with society, so I'm going to get
No.
rid of them by killing them? It's not even that.
No, it's literally,
Oh, okay.
I just haven't fucked anyone up. It's so long. I really want to do that.
It's a edgelord movie, is what it is.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's really, really, and then at the end, it shows, you know, like him shooting people and he's having the time of his life. And I was just like, this is really not okay.
Are we reviewing this other movie you saw? or
Well, the point
I
I'm
get where she's
making
coming
is-
from on it.
The point I'm
Yeah,
making is
it's
I'm
not too late. We could all go watch that movie instead.
The point I'm making is I'm concerned considering like everything you've said about how it's some game show guy who clearly was fantasizing about this other life that he wasn't living. I'm concerned that that is the same tone that this movie is going to have. That it's like murdering people for fun and enjoyment
right.
and not for like moral reasons. You know what I mean?
You're worried that it's going to be a misanthropic film.
Uh-huh.
You're kind of saying like, oh, this poor guy bored of his game show life has to go kill people. Yeah, I see what
Exactly.
you mean. Yeah.
I mean,
It's like fantasy, you know, and the same thing you were talking about earlier, Todd, where you're like, oh, there's the scene where he gets the inspiration for the Gong Show because he's fantasizing about shooting someone who's
Right,
talking
right,
too
right.
long. Like, I'm really concerned this movie is not going to hold up because it's going to have shit like that where it's like, whoa, this went too far. And there's really no like pretend moral. There's not even a dead dog to make this okay. You know?
Oh.
I totally get that, and I feel like the thing that backs that up even more is that I don't know. I was a kid when this came out, basically, but it seemed like there was a time when the CIA was not as publicly just straight up evil as we perceive it to be these days. And that time was back then. And like, it's, even if it doesn't come across in the way that you've described, I think it'll come across in the way of like, CIA really probably shouldn't be sending people around the world to kill people randomly either. So this is all good points about the potential problematic elements of this film. I'm very curious to know what's going to happen here.
Pat is dying.
No, I'm just stuck because Brett said edgelord, and then the phrase edging lord came into my mind. Like, and then I started thinking, like, wait, isn't edging lord basically the opposite? Because an edgelord is trying to upset you, but an edging lord is trying to make you feel pretty good, not too good, because you don't
But
want to go
forever.
over the edge, but pretty good.
I'm glad that's what you took out of my thoughtful.
It's if you haven't watched too much of our D&D game, it's just anytime anyone says anything with edge in it, Pat just dies.
That's going to happen a lot in a D&D game.
I mean, yeah, we fall face first into innuendo too often on that show.
Right.
Face first, huh?
Yep.
I mean,
I didn't say anything.
The clip where we had to vamp and talk about what constitutes a hot dog should be enshrined.
Yeah, I'll cut that one out. I'll tack it onto the show at the end.
I'll predict that I'm going to be fairly down the middle, like maybe like a 6 out of 10. And
But
I'm just going to base
this movie and your prediction.
I know, I know, but you want to, you know, I think your rule that I heard was like something you haven't seen in 10 years. And since and I'm just logicking this out a bit, even though like I know that I'm going to enjoy the cast. I know I'm going to love Rockwell. But logicking it out, if I saw it in theaters in 2002, didn't feel the need to come back to it again until sometime around 2010, you know, is when I think I watched it again on video. And then it hasn't really like crossed my mind or been thought about by me.
But you did watch it again.
That's true. But so maybe this is a movie that I would like. It's possible this is a movie that I would like to see about every 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But that's where I logic it out to. Like, I'm probably going to be like a 6 or a 7. Like, clearly I liked it enough to come back to it, but clearly I don't love it enough to buy the DVD.
Yeah. So a solid 6.
I mean, I think I'm on board with Todd here that I think the cast is going to make me really excited. I do enjoy dark humor, but I don't remember thinking it was like the funniest thing I've ever seen. So, but I think I'm more going to be excited to go back and see Sam Rockwell again. Because like I said, when I first seen it, he wasn't Sam Rockwell then. So going back and being the witness, like the beginnings of like such an amazing actor, I think. So, I mean, I don't know if I could give a rating number on it right now, but I think I'm with Todd on, I'm excited to go back and watch these actors play these parts again is what I'm looking forward to.
I have a feeling David and I are going to really respond very similarly to this film. As opposed to some films I could look at and say like, oh, I'm going to love this one and Dave's going to hate it. You know, there are films like that, but I think this one is going to be, knowing Dave's tastes in film, as well as I do, I think no matter what happens, he and I are probably going to come out the other end of the tunnel, agreeing in full with each other.
Holding hands. Just
I was going to say holding hands, but I wanted to let you have the honor.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we're going to pause the recording here and go watch Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, and we'll see you when we get back.
And how about that? Expectations have been set, bets have been placed. Join us next week to find out how the movie lived up to our memories and expectations, which if you haven't seen the movie, that's plenty of time for you to run out and give it a go. But here's a little tip for you. If you have already seen the movie, or if you just can't wait to hear more of Let's Rewatch, you can do that right now. You don't have to wait a week. Just go ahead and Google Let's Rewatch podcast or search for that in your favorite podcast app. And you can hear the rest of the episode right now. And the place you would want to skip ahead to just to hear the second part, if you're running over there, which it's up to you, would be clearly delineated by a chapter marker that they're going to drop in there for you. So we'll either catch you guys for the second part here on the Spies Like Us channel next week, or if you couldn't wait, wouldn't blame you for going over and subscribing to the very fine Let's Rewatch podcast. We'll catch you back here in 2 weeks for some tradecraft analysis of the 1960s seminal spy television show, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., a fan request, by the way.